In this video, we're going to discuss the CSS Financial Aid Profile. So the CSS Profile is a financial aid form that your college may require you to submit in order to be considered for institutional aid. Institutional aid is grants and scholarships that come from the college itself and not from the federal government. Now, the CSS Profile is made by the College Board, which is a private nonprofit that also makes the SAT. Unfortunately, it costs money in order to submit the CSS profile to schools. However, there are fee waivers that are available to students with low income. Now, many of the colleges that have early acceptance programs use the CSS profile. And the reason is that the FAFSA form can't be submitted until January 1st of the school year in which you plan to attend. However, the CSS profile can be submitted several months earlier. You could submit it as early as October 1st of your senior year of high school. So October 1st of the year before you plan to apply. Now, the CSS profile uses a different method for calculating your financial need compared to the FAFSA. It uses what's called the institutional methodology. And the institutional methodology is going to be much more detailed in terms of evaluating your assets, your parents' assets. It's going to look at things like home equity and so forth. Now, colleges are then going to use this information in terms of determining how much institutional aid you get. So this isn't going to affect things like the Pell Grant and so forth. And in fact, you're still going to have to submit a FAFSA form. Just because a school requires you to do the CSS profile does not mean that you don't have to submit the FAFSA. It means you have to submit the FAFSA and the CSS profile. So all schools require the FAFSA, but not necessarily the CSS profile. Okay? Now, the federal government is going to determine whether or not you get a Pell Grant based on what the information is, your expected family contribution from the FAFSA. The CSS profile is just going to be used to determine whether the money the college itself gives out in terms of grants or scholarships, because remember, the college, the university has its own money, it has its own funds, and the CSS profile is going to determine whether those institutional funds are given to you, and if so, how much. Now, if you're interested and you need to fill out the CSS profile or you'd like to learn more information, you can go to profileonline.collegeboard.com.